Sup everyone, I'm your female otaku, and I'm here to review episode 10 of Boku no Hero Academia. And because of how this episode was paced, it seems like this whole, the students over at the class field trip thing sort of arc is going to take place for like the rest of the season. And I'm a little disappointed with that, to be honest. Like, of course, as you know, I am enjoying Boku no Hero Academia, but right now we're still in the, generic simple, we're still in the simple stage of the story, and manga readers are telling me it's like a little bit after this arc is when things start to get real. Like, that's the portion where everyone is all hyped up on for the manga. So I'm a little disappointed with that, but it is Bones. So Bones, they usually do season 2s. So I honestly have no doubt that we're going to have a season 2 for Boku no Hero Academia. Will it come out this year? I don't... Probably not. Probably maybe next year, winter 2017. Something around there. But I'm pretty sure we're going to have a season 2. I just wish that I could get onto that greatness that all the manga readers have been talking about now. I mean, of course, I could always read the manga, but what am I? Busy! I'm busy with so many things you already know. Anyway, with this episode of Boku no Hero Academia, the students are going to be versing the League of Villains. I'm not gonna lie though, the main leader for the League of Villains, at least I assume he's a leader, the one who has all the hands, taped all over, well, not taped, but on him. I get that he's supposed to be menacing or creepy, more creepy, because his voice doesn't sound menacing. He sounds a little more on the creepier side. I just personally think that his design is rather funny. I'm not gonna lie, guys. It just looks like he got a bunch of gloves and just spaced. He's not scary. He's not frightening. He doesn't look like he poses a threat at all. So far he's just been standing around, but it kind of makes sense why he's standing around, because he gathered the League of Villains. So there's a bunch of people, doing the work for him. So it makes sense why he's just standing in the back, observing and whatever. But he just doesn't look that evil to me. We learn about villains in this episode, and I really like that. We learn how they think, how they strategize, so that's pretty cool and very interesting, because the villains, even though they have a lot of numbers, and Eraserhead, he was going in, man. Eraserhead, I remember a couple episodes back when we first met Eraserhead and when I found out about his quirk, I mentioned how it seemed that he probably isn't good at hand-to-hand combat, and he's probably not much of a fighter because of his quirk. But I was wrong. And I'm very happy that I am wrong, because he used the wraps that he has, or the gauze, whatever you want to call it. He used it as like whips or something like that, as rope to tie everyone else out and like throw them all over the place. And that was pretty awesome. I'm really happy that he has more skills other than just his quirk, because you certainly need that. One guy from the League of Villains separated the students all over the place. Izuku and Sue, which I really like Sue, she's pretty cool. But Izuku and Sue, they start to notice what's going on and try to figure out exactly what the villains are planning. Like, we know that the villains are trying to kill All Might, but as we know, All Might, he's kind of worn out at the moment, and I'll get to that a little bit later. And Izuku and Sue, they noticed that the villains have no idea what the students' powers are, because the students, they were separated. And Sue, she's pretty good in the water because her quirk is a frog. She's basically a frog. She can do anything that a frog can do. And Sue was thrown into the water section. And why would the villains throw someone who has a pretty good quirk that can work in the water? Why would they do that? It's because they didn't know. But why would all these villains come in to kill All Might when All Might is OP? Not exactly OP, but you know what I'm saying. Like, he's pretty powerful. It's because the villains know a way to kill All Might. Another thing is that the villains figured out a way to block off the phone signals and any other ways of communication. Therefore, Ida was sent to go and get help. I really like the strategizing between Izuku and Sue. Izuku went in, he put all of his strength in his 2 fingers to create a little bit of a whirlpool, you can say, that sucked everyone in. Well, of the water section of the theme park. And Mineta, Mineta, that's his name. Mineta, an episode or 2 back, I said that I was gonna keep an eye on Mineta because he was just this short little guy. He just popped up out of nowhere. So I figured, oh, this guy must have a deadly quirk. That is not the case. That is not the case at all. Mineta's quirk, his hair, they're just like they're bouncing balls. They stick too, and it's like, okay. I guess if you throw enough of them at one person, it could suffocate them, I suppose. Yeah, that could work. We could work with that, yeah. It was so funny though, because Izuku and Sue, they were just staring at him, trying to figure out what they could use his quirk for. But awesome teamwork within this episode. I expected more fighting to happen in this episode. That's why I mentioned the pacing in the beginning of this review, because not too much fighting happened. Students were basically still in shock and trying to figure out what to do next. Therefore, I believe that the rest of the season is going to finish up this arc. Meantime, we have with All Might, he's sitting there, he only has like about 10 minutes left to use his one for all power, and then we have the principal. Oh my gosh, this principal. It was basically the principal's voice that got me. He was basically just all like, am I a mouse, a bear, a dog? My real identity is the principal! He was just so happy. He was so happy. That was just too adorable. Just how he said it. Go rewatch that scene. Rewatch that scene because his voice was perfect. I loved that. That killed me. And he seems like a really adorable little man thing. Animal. You know what I'm trying to say. Very enjoyable episode. Glad we got to go in with more of strategizing because I love it when we get to go into the details of people's plans on both sides, the heroes and the villains. That's always enjoyable to see. Catch you later as I review ReZero, and I'm going to try to get my volume 4 of The Silent Voice in, and I'm working on my Imoto Sweet 16 vlog, so hopefully that'll all come out today. I'm your female otaku, sayonara.